Margaret Kuhlman of Soul Astrology. So here is a new moon in Gemini again. Every year an opportunity to have another look at all of life, to see it fresh, to have new ideas about it. Gemini is the twins, the two sides of our character, the two sides of our brain, the left and right hand. So there is a lightness, a funful moving forward, at the same time as an uncertainty, a hesitation, looming shadows. And the shadows show up in this chart perhaps with the Mercury, retrograde Mercury still, looking back at the past, at what has been over these last few years. Squaring Saturn. We had high ideals, Aquarian ideals. And look what has happened with the control. Where is the authority? Mercury trines Pluto. We are looking deep. We are seeing, we are realizing what is underneath. And we may not want to know, and there is a tendency with the retrograde, I think, to be distracted from what we don't want to see. In Taurus, that's a lot of distraction on the practical level. Let's do something. That needs clearing up. I could get rid of these. Let's focus on what we can do, because we are not in control of the bigger movements of life. We do have the authority, though, over our own experience, our personal inner receiving of what is there. But is it control that we need? What we really need is the truth. If we can see the truth, we know how to be with it. There is a sense of landing on our feet, knowing which way to look. Where there is not truth, we are uncertain, wobbly. Our problem seems to be not being able to tell the difference between what is true and what isn't. There is a lovely way of sorting that out. It may or may not work for you, but there is a sense of rightness when we face the truth. And if what we're facing is not true, there is the uncertainty. Now, we can obscure the truth from ourselves by not wanting to know it, and then we can feel wobbly whatever we look at. So it's a matter of not allowing our fears to take a place in our decisions. Caution's great, not fear. And I think that's the square relationship with the Mercury to Saturn. It's giving Saturn its negative side, the fearful and the allowing the authority for our experience to be outside us. As soon as we understand that we are in our own nature sure of what we value, of what matters to us as individuals, the square then is the assistance for seeing what is not true outside. And I think I sounded clearer about that than I actually feel. This new moon is sextiling the midpoint between Jupiter, Mars and Chiron, all in Aries. So Mars is energizing the growth factor of Aries, and Jupiter is giving permission to Mars to act. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the action is the one we thought we were going to do. So be new, be fresh. Check it out. Gemini is about communication. Two sides, listening as well as speaking. So we listen to how it is in the world. We listen to what arrives. We listen to what the past experience has been telling us, so that we are equipped to speak truly, relevantly, as we move forward, and to be understood. At the full moon, Mars has moved forward to conjunct Chiron. Absolutely. So the results of our actions in the first half of the month bring us to that point where we have been wounded in our sense of autonomy, our free choice to be ourselves. So the second half of the month has more emphasis on correcting, healing that autonomy, that sense of okayness with ourselves in the world. And at the same time, with Mercury having just moved into Gemini itself, it will be easier to communicate. We'll be communicating the Pluto, which is the need for change, the things that we can't appreciate about circumstances, to be honest, at quite a deep level. So be aware of the changes that happen as a result of your communication. Generally speaking, I think people are forgiving in the face of love. So if you find that what you said was harsher than you meant, or didn't take the other person sufficiently into account, not being considerate of feelings that in fact we would want to care for, if we find we said it a bit other than what we meant, I think if one goes forward lovingly, with an explanation even, but loving, and accepting where the other is and their difference from us, I think forgiveness is part of what happens. It's like, I didn't mean that hurt that I appear to have triggered in you. I would not have had that happen had I been able to see the fullness of things. It takes quite a closed person to reject an open approach. The full moon chart also has this T-square from Sun and Moon to Neptune, which suggests that we do need to be cautious, careful in going forward. And then there is that trine and sextile from the Sun and Moon to Saturn, as though there is a finding of the correct authority. The Saturn will be going retrograde by then, so calling on old wisdom, which we recognize deep in ourselves. And there is also a little cautionary bit here where Venus, who rules the North Node, the Taurusness, the Earth, is conjunct Uranus, or has just conjunct Uranus in the previous few days, and is herself square, or coming into a square relationship with Saturn. Our relationships may be changing. Uranus does not destroy. He tends to give us space from things. And we need to take that space and inwardly regroup, recenter, re-evaluate before we come forward again. Uranus gives us and takes away. He takes away and he brings back. So it's best not to take what happens in your relationships as a forever thing, but make the most of the gaps. If yourself, you are re-evaluating and finding a new position with respect to someone you're relating to, there is every likelihood that they're doing something similar. Not the same, of course, And it doesn't necessarily mean that things go the way you would like them to. But be prepared to rediscover each person as you come in contact with them again. We are all changing through these times, all of us. We need to keep finding out who these lovely people are who we've known for so long, and the ones we don't like. How are they now? Maybe we find something in them that we hadn't realised was actually just a reflection of our own stuff. Just be prepared for the changes. The overall energy of the month shows the Mercury connecting well with Neptune. So as long as we are engaged with our own system and our own body, our own piece of earth, we won't go far wrong. Meditation, even if you don't ever sit in meditation, allow your mind and your thinking to open up to the subtleties of the surrounding, and if you can, to the subtleties of your own inner life. As your heart beats and your lungs breathe, don't let your thoughts govern your decisions. Be your whole self and enjoy the variety that Gemini brings. Enjoy the movement while keeping your feet on your piece of ground. Thank you. Do not fear. You are easily good enough to be here at this time, doing what you do and being your sweet self. Good enough to manage whatever comes, enough to receive all things. You have done no wrong, only made mistakes appropriate to your level of understanding. As your realization deepens, widens, you draw forth more wisdom from your depths. You were born to grow. You are spirit in form, more beautiful than any dream you might concoct. And your life will continue unfolding into the sweet moment of each conscious breath.